What's up guys, Felix from Giant Lifestyle. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the mindset required in order to switch from an employee to an entrepreneur. I found this video the other day and I shared it with my friend who's been on the hunt to transition from employee to entrepreneur over the past few years. And he's been struggling because not only does he have a high paying job, but he doesn't understand the mindset required in order to switch from employee to entrepreneur. This video is by Robert Kiyosaki, one of the most successful entrepreneurs and personally an entrepreneur that's changed my life based off his teachings. We're going to watch the video. I've seen part of it, not all of it, but it's definitely going to be a good watch. If you guys like these daily uploads, put a like on this video, subscribe. We're uploading every single day this month. Let's get right into the video.
Obsolete idea is go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, get out of debt, and invest for the long term in the stock market. So why would you save money when they're printing trillions of dollars? The gap between the 1% and 99% is massive. You see, it's not just money. You have to step back and look at the bigger picture.
So what do you do?
In every one of us is a poor person. There's still a poor person inside me. There's also a middle class person. And the middle class person wants security. They want that steady paycheck. And there's a rich.
And that's why my friend continues to stay at his job. Even though he's done little side hustles and adventures, he's trying to replace that paycheck. And that's something that can be done over time. You know, I remember when my first mentors told me in the beginning, you will be paid way underpaid. And then as your businesses grow and you start to get momentum and succeed more, you'll be overpaid. So eventually you'll overtake that paycheck. But in the beginning, you have to realize and know what it feels like to not have that paycheck.
And they're all inside of us, except that it's not taught. You're taught to go to school, get a job, and get a paycheck. You're not taught to how to get rich. If you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, my rich dad refused to pay me. He said the paycheck was one of the most damaging things you could take in your life.
It's a trap because you try to replace it and you won't quit your job or you won't quit what you have until you replace that paycheck. And now some people are in different situations. Maybe they have an entire family they're taking care of and they need something a little bit more steady. But for any of my younger viewers, if you have no kids, no crazy responsibilities, while you're young, take the leap. Jump out of the plane with no parachute, because what's the worst that can happen? So let's keep watching the video. I think this video is going to be really good. Like I said, I've seen part of it, but not all of it.
The moment you take a paycheck, you're an employee, and that's the mindset. So my rich dad never paid me. He drove my poor.
Not to keep interrupting it, but you feel like every sort of work you do, you deserve to be paid. With an entrepreneur, if you don't work and really put in work, you don't eat.
Government employee, nuts. You got to pay people. You got to pay people. And Rich Dad was not saying that the paycheck was bad. He says he didn't want to be a slave to money. So as an entrepreneur, if Rich Dad folded, I just started another company. I don't need a paycheck. I don't need anybody to take care of me. If my government doesn't like me, I move to another country because they need entrepreneurs there. So the entrepreneur is not so much the business. The entrepreneur is really the mindset and the skill sets and the different set of rules.
You have to know that it doesn't matter what happens, I'm going to make it happen.
You see, I don't.
And an employee says, if I get fired here, I hope I don't, but I'll go to a new company.
Right. Small business does not operate in the same rules as big business. Entrepreneur is a mindset first, a skill set, and rules. And depending upon whether you're an employee or small business, the rules are different. The mindsets are different. The skill sets are different.
If you could say one thing to somebody who's never been an entrepreneur and they're thinking about making the leap of faith into becoming an entrepreneur, what could you tell them?
Well, I'll just tell them the same thing that happened to me. My last paycheck, I still remember it clearly. It was one of the worst and the best days of my life. And I was in Puerto Rico. I was working for Xerox. And my boss gave me my last, it wasn't a paycheck, it was a bonus check. I think it was about $30,000. Taxable, it's the only problem with that. So I got this check and I went, holy mackerel. You know what I mean? So I was excited, but I was also disturbed. And so this other guy comes up to me, his name was John, and John says to me, he says, "You're going to be back." I said, "Why?" He says, "Because you're going to fail." I looked at him and said, "Look," few expletive words, because that's what he did. He left Xerox, failed, and he came back. And I said, "Look, you failed and you came back, but I'm going to fail and I'm never coming back." And that's the attitude. Do you know what I mean? If you say, "Well, if I fail, I'll go back to mommy and daddy," then that's what you'll do. So if you fail, that's when I became an entrepreneur, because I had no money. I had no money for years. You know, I didn't have a paycheck.
People don't see that. They don't see the hard times. Yeah, I might fail, but I'm going to get back up and I'm going to try again and I'm going to make this happen. And then people don't see all the failures. They just see the nice cars, the nice house, the nice clothes, the lifestyle. They don't see the years and the years and the years of grinding.
That's what my rich dad encouraged me to do. He says, when you don't have this paycheck, you get hungrier, smart.
And that's what I was trying to tell my friend right there. This is up to the point where I basically seen the reason he can't really escape his high-paying job is because when you have that paycheck, you lose drive, you lose motivation. Most jobs, about 80 to 90% of them, if you show up and do minimal work, or if you show up and exceed your efforts, you still get paid. You're not on commission, you're on salary. So if you make it look like you're working, or if you make it look like you're not working with a few variables in between, you're still going to get paid. And that's how I remember all jobs that I ever worked. And until you get rid of that paycheck, that cash flow, that's your cash flow, you won't be as hungry. When you kick that cash flow or that weekly or bi-weekly paycheck to the curb, watch how hungry you get. Watch how many ideas, and watch how much time you have to work on your business. Not to mention, my friend has I think he told me not to count his pockets, but he said he had like $40,000 or $50,000 saved up, no kids, no family, just him, very minimal living monthly expenses. He should just take the leap and go for it, because him keeping that job is going to hold him down like a prisoner.
And it's a test of your character. Will you become a crook? Will you become dishonest? Will you cheat and steal? Or will you become a better human being?
There's so many
really,
ways
that's
to make
the benefit of becoming
that when you kick that weekly paycheck, I guarantee the level of drive you have, because you're not going to let yourself starve. You're not going to let yourself get kicked out of your place. You're going to do whatever it takes, and you're going to work 16, 18, 20 hours a day on becoming successful for yourself.
Entrepreneurs, you really find out who you are when you don't have anything. So you always have to look at the big picture. Too many people look at, well, what's going to happen to me? When you look at the big picture, you're also going to know that when something bad happens, something good's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to prepare for whatever
One
is
door
coming.
closes, another
If
opens.
you think next 20 years will be like the last 20 years, you're going to be creamed. You know, when you and I go to the supermarket and we buy a carton of milk, we always check for the expiration date. But most people do not check for the expiration date on their brains. Instead of get out of debt, I get into debt. You know, I just refinanced $300 million in debt. I went from 5% to 2.5% interest. I made a fortune. Every month, more money comes in because my cost of money has gone down. So while some financial experts are saying get out of debt, I'm saying learn how to use debt. So when I came back from in Vietnam in January 73, the first thing my rich dad said to me was go to school to learn how to invest in real estate. It wasn't real estate, it was how to use debt and taxes. Debt and taxes make the rich richer. Debt and taxes make the poor and middle class poor. So all the rich guys who are doctors and lawyers, or, you know, those guys, they're getting creamed. They don't know why.
Doctors are getting creamed.
Oh yeah, they're making more money, but the take home is less.
Sure.
You know, my doctor just yelled at me. He's happy. He says, "Oh, guess what? I finally made $1 million." And I said, "Yeah, this was just 3 weeks ago." And so I said, "Yeah, well, how much you pay in tax?" He says, $750,000 in taxes. So his net was about $400,000. That's not bad. But when I make $1 million, I keep $1 million. And the reason is because I don't make it by working for money. See, if you work for money, you're taxed. So that's why lesson number one in Rich Dad Poor Dad is the rich don't work for money. What we do instead is we create businesses as entrepreneurs.
You have to learn how to make money in your sleep. When I learned how to make money in my sleep, never the same.
We acquire real
You
estate.
can't do that with a
I
job.
don't invest in the stock market.
You don't show up, you don't make money.
So the reason is because as entrepreneurs, I have more control over my income, how much I make, and how much I pay in taxes. And because I'm an entrepreneur as well as an investor in real estate, I pay zero tax. So every time I make, let's say, $1 million as an entrepreneur, I immediately invest it in real estate and have a 4-to-1 step up. So I put $1 million in real estate, I get $4 million from the bank. That's why I love banks. But the banks are screwing everybody else. Terrible. But it's good for me.
That's why you say when you print, it's good for you, but when you print, it's bad for people that work for money.
Because when you print, savers get creamed and people who work for money get creamed. When they print, debtors get rich. You see, debt and taxes make the rich richer, and debt and taxes make the poor middle class poorer. When we have obsolete ideas, we get obsolete results. So what's happening for most people, the idea of going to school, getting a job, working hard, saving money, getting out of debt, buying your house because it's an asset, investing for the long term, is obsolete.
I want to know from you guys that are watching this video, at what age did you first hear about the word entrepreneur? I didn't hear about the word entrepreneur until I was 19 years old. All through school, I never heard it because school preps you up to fit into society. Now, don't get me wrong. I know we need employees. I know we need workers. I know we need people who are going to help us build these companies. But you and I, if you're watching my channel, you know that you want to be the boss. You want to be your own owner. And I never heard the word entrepreneur. Even schools have these entrepreneur classes, or colleges have these business classes where they're prepping you up to go work for a big company like JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs, these big corporations that employ hundreds of thousands of college kids and never allow these college kids who took these business degrees or these entrepreneur classes to actually go start their own business. The best teacher, the best school is experience and failure, not sitting behind a desk and staring into a textbook. So curious, drop down in the comments, at what age did you first hear the word entrepreneur?
The world has changed. The world changed in 1971 when President Nixon took us off the gold standard and money became debt.
What if we get rid of school? Then what would happen? Would it be better if we had no educational system at all?
No, I'm saying education is more important before. It's just obsolete. There's Moore's Law, which states information doubles every 18 months. In other words, everything's obsolete 18 months. So, and this is a recent phenomenon. So when you come out of school, you're already obsolete. And that's why I'm the old guy, I meet my friends who went to Harvard. I went to Harvard. I said, yeah, that was how long, 50 years ago? Today, the banks are charging you interest to save money. In other words, banks don't want your money because they printed too much of it. And that's why there's this bubbles in stocks and bubbles in real estate and all this. People are dumping the cash. Because as I said in here, savers are losers and cash is trash. And yet people are, well, I want a high-paying job. Well, that's an obsolete idea. Get out of debt is an obsolete idea. You should learn how to get into debt, how to use debt to get rich. And they'll never teach you about taxes. The reason the 1% is way up here and the 99% are going this way is because when you print money, two things happen: inflation and taxes. It's going to crush you. And any entrepreneur thinks, I'm just going to make money and I'm going to start a business and make a lot of money because of what we talk about. They really have got to smell the roses, man. That's not what the real entrepreneurs are doing. Most entrepreneurs, there's 28 million small business owners in America. 24 million are what are one-person entrepreneurs. They're called non-employee entrepreneurs. So and that's what happens is when people don't really understand what an entrepreneur does. So most big people are self-employed, but they're not really entrepreneurs. The self-employed pay the highest taxes of all. And nobody tells them that. Yeah, it's also called the entrepreneurial spirit. But what we were actually talking about was there's no such thing as a bad economy. There's external, you and I, we all have an external economy. but we also have an internal economy. And the willpower is to change our internal economy. So for me, I can see the good and I can see the bad. I don't really give a damn because I'm going to be rich anyway.
I
But
love
a
that.
poor person with a poor personal economy, all they're going to see is a bad economy.
Yep. Good, bad, doesn't matter to me. My business partner said in the beginning, when the whole pandemic thing started, he said that this is the greatest time for opportunity and riches. And I can't disagree. A lot of people seen the pandemic and started to get scared about the economy. You either look at it in a positive sight or a negative sight.
Because they don't know how to make money in any economy. And a middle class person, they have a middle class economy. You know, what they want is a nice house, a steady paycheck, and the job and the car. And so when you take their job away, to them, that's disaster. Well, since an entrepreneur doesn't have a job anyway, it's no big deal. So all I'm saying to people, and it's what Bucky Fuller taught me, there's always two sides. You know what I mean? You know, to use plural, at minimum two. So if you think the economy is bad, it's because your economy is bad. If you think that steady, employment is important, then you'll see an economy without jobs. Your economy versus the external economy.
What you control versus what you can't control.
I can control. Yeah, it's called an internal focus versus an external focus. So the real entrepreneur has an internal focus. But if they fall down, they say, "Oh, this is good because I'm going to go up higher." You know, the average person will fall down and say, "Oh, I'm going to take some Prozac." Or somebody has a mistake. Oh, the mistakes don't matter. Well, mistakes matter. It means you didn't know something. But a real entrepreneur, whether they fall down, they always can go up. They can stand back up and go higher. And no matter what happens to them, they get stronger and better and smarter and happier. But a person with a weak internal mindset is that they're so afraid of what happens, it generally happens. Like, people who are afraid of losing their jobs, they generally lose their jobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So everything
you can
comes through you.
Yeah, so the entrepreneur first job is to control inside here, not outside there. The moment you take that paycheck, you're an employee.
Yep. So there you guys have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. What you put out there is what you attract. And if you are in the position to take even the slightest risk at entrepreneurship and you have a plan, go out there and implement it, because that paycheck, that job will hold you back, will suck the life, will suck the time, and will suck your goals right out of you. So go out there and go for your dreams. The worst thing that could happen, especially if you have a little bit saved up, is you have to return to your job. But like he said, you don't even put that out there that you're going to fail. You're going to make it happen, and there's no other choice. So there you guys have it. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to put a like on it. Again, uploading every single day this month. Thank you guys for the support, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.